Mine, I am boo-boo.
This is another one hers.
Okay. I say we go.
I didn't, you can go ahead. Yeah, go with it,
Yeah, you wanna,
start.
yes.
Well, I'm glad you all are here, and this is their second one we've done. It was really educating last year, even for me, so we've got some real good speakers that are coming this week. This month. You're gonna learn a lot in the next 6 weeks. My name's Mary Belcher. I'm the executive director here at the Buchanan County Chamber. I'll be the one that if you win and the amounts you win, I'm the one you'll be dealing with. So y'all need to know
Be
my
nice to
face.
her.
But Sandy, this is something Sandy brought to our Grundy IDA in a joint meeting with their Grundy IDA and our Buchanan County IDA. It's the first time they sat down in the same room together, and they agreed on something. And they agreed on 2 business challenges to sponsor for 2 years, and this is the second one. And hopefully, if this one's successful, they're looking to see how successful it's going to be, and hopefully they'll fund at least 1 more, if not 2 more. So they're real excited about it. Anybody live in Grundy? No. Just kidding. No, I'm really not. Is anybody a town Grundy resident?
Anybody?
No. Oh, you are? I'm running for town council. I appreciate you. Well, so I'm giving myself a plug. But anyway, anyway, we're excited about it. I'm excited about y'all's businesses that are starting and the 2 existing that's coming in to learn and everything. We're real excited. So, Sandy, I'll just turn it over to you if you don't need me to tell them.
Okay.
Anymore. The restrooms, the last door on your right, there's 2 doors on your right and it's the second door.
Okay.
And I have drinks, Subway sandwiches, cupcakes. Just help yourself if you want to get something.
Well, good evening. We get to see each other for the next 6 weeks. I'm happy with the amount of folks that have turned out for this. This is our second year, and it usually takes the second year for everybody to learn about what's going on. But I think it would be good, before I tell you who I am, let's go around the room, introduce yourself, because we're going to be together for the next 6 weeks. We want to learn a little about each other. So let's go around the room, tell us what you're going to be doing. And you never know, there's always synergy that somebody might want to buy something from you and vice versa. So I'll let you take it over, Mr. Rose.
David Rose, we're going to open a ATV, UTV repair shop, sell some island sweatshirts, tires, rims, maintenance on tires, and we're going to put in a rented go-kart track where kids can come up there and rent. Maybe in the future we're going to put in a drag strip too for ATVs and UTVs. We're going to have recovery systems if they get broke down, out in the trails miles away. We'll be able to go retrieve them. So there's a lot of plans. It's just getting started.
Great. Wesley, tell everybody what you're doing.
I do a little bit of everything. We do computer repair, mobile, any kind of mobile repair, tablet, phone, whatever, networking, residential or commercial, business networking. I don't really know. There's this a wide, and we have a cell phone business.
Okay.
And all that kind of stuff.
Mike?
Mike Mathis, starting up a mobile blasting business. It's kind of like a sand blasting, but it's dustless. It uses water and sand mixture. I can do automotive stripping, any kind of stripping, anything that's metal, got paint on it, rust on it. I can do masonry, concrete, rock, wood. Just unlimited what can be done. And I can come to them. They don't have to bring it to me. I can bring it to them.
Great. How long have you been dreaming about this?
Well, I've been wanting one for a long time, but as far as doing it as a business, probably just the last 6 months.
Okay. Mr. Fletcher?
I'm Greg Fletcher, and I'm actually sitting in for Sherry, my wife. She's the one who does all this, but we have a fruit and produce business along with a greenhouse. Now, we don't actually grow plants, but we buy and resell any kind of garden plants, for your home gardens, that type of thing, and seeds. We're looking to get in. We're not into seeds yet. That's why we're here. We want to get into seeds. There's really hardly anyone that sells mulch and potting soil and things like that, so we want to expand on our business, and we've recently been asked to move from the business we're at, and people want to take it back over, so we're moving on into Grundy, and then when we get there, we want to expand, and just ask someone who's trying to find, straw and things like that, potting soil, you have to go out of the county for the most part. So we're looking to expand on that and do that and just expand our business.
Kind
And
of
hopefully get big enough to hire some people.
like a farm supply.
Yeah, more or less, but we have just basically fruit, vegetables, fresh green beans, any kind of fruit and vegetables, we have that any farmer's market would have. And whatever's in seeds, and apples, do a lot of apples, things like that, along with the greenhouse and Christmas trees in the winter, fresh cut Christmas trees, all those things. So.
Okay. Dan, tell us about you.
I'm Dan Green. I'm going to be starting up a business that provides remote support for companies that are having trouble finding what they need in the area as far as business networks and internet, sort of moving things to the cloud, that sort of thing.
Okay, great. Natasha?
My name is Natasha Underwood. I'm the operator and owner of Hometown Vinyl. I do vinyl t-shirts, sublimation printing, and small embroidery work. I'll also be doing, providing the public with blank t-shirts and blank vinyl for the home-based hobby crafter. I will be located in the same building as Ryan on Riverside Drive.
And Ryan, if she needs anything, you'll help her.
2 doors down.
Okay.
You got some wire in my building you need to come get.
Oh, Lord.
I don't know what it is.
Is it red?
Yeah.
Jason?
Justin,
Justin, sorry.
we're going in the catering and bakery business. We're also in the same building as Ryan. He takes care of us too. But we're hoping to grow that into something bigger.
Great. Well, it's a diverse group of participants, so I am delighted. Now, a couple things. Each person got a notebook. Each week, as you receive we're going to have a whole 6 weeks of sessions. So when different speakers come in, they give you handouts. It's a great way for you to be able to keep up with everything. And I think Wesley's probably the only one in that notebook at the beginning, on the first, in their big notebook, the free ring binder. We do need for you to, on your guidelines, to initialize all of the lines it's on the next pages, and then sign that. That just basically tell us, because I'm going to go over the guidelines here, that you have read it, you understand the guidelines of this program, why we're doing it, and how you'll be reimbursed should you win, etc., and what I'm going to go with. Also, I gave you in that notebook a list of mentors over the next 6 weeks or over the next year as you do your expansion or as you start your business. One of the things we didn't want to do in this program is just hand you the money and then you're gone. You need that mentoring, and you're going to hear from Margie Douglas in a few minutes. But we want to be able to have you to reach out to folks that you need, whether it be marketing assistance, you need help with looking for financing, whether that means someone you need somebody just to give you whatever kind of mentoring it is. Could be legal, insurance. We want you to reach out to these folks, and that's why we're doing this program, because this is a community program. This is not Virginia Community Capital, Sandy Ratliff. By the way, I'm sorry, I didn't introduce myself. I'm Sandy Ratliff. I'm the lady behind those emails. But we're doing this in conjunction with the Thompson Foundation, who provided the funding to hire Virginia Community Capital to do this program. But the biggest thing that you need to thank is the Buchanan County Industrial Development Authority, the Town of Grundy Industrial Development Authority, and the Chamber of Commerce here, Mary, because the funding is coming from the 2 IDAs for the award money. So that means government money is being put into this program. That's why those guidelines are important. We're not just going to, you just give us, say, I'm going to do this without giving us a business plan, and, you know, we're not going to allow you to just, we're going to hand over the money and then you just invest it how you want. We want to make sure you're investing in your business, which means, and again, we'll go into this, that you are doing what you say you're going to do, okay? And we want to make you be successful here in the county and in the town. That's just why we're doing this. You know, a lot of times you hear in communities, everybody's talking about the big guy, getting the big business to come into town. But personally, I've been in economic development for about 30 years. I think the meat and potatoes comes from folks like yourself. You're growing businesses here in the county, you're invested, you live, work, and play here, and you're going to make sure it's going to be successful. And I like that the county and the town are investing in you and to make sure that you're going to be successful here. Now, also, I gave you a flash drive. On that flash drive is not only the guidelines, in case you ever need to go back and look at it, but also there are sample templates of business plan, either for an existing business or a startup. There are sample, balance sheets, profit and loss statements, all those kind of things as you get up and going that you're going to need, especially as you grow your business, just to make sure, am I making money at this? And especially if you come to folks like Virginia Community Capital or any other lender, they're going to ask you for these kind of things. And by the way, one night we'll be talking to financial lenders, which just means you can ask them any kind of question you want about that, and they'll probably say, yes, that's what we look for. Any questions so far? There'll be an essay test every night or every session. No, I'm kidding. No, it's up to you. This is, what we'll do is 6 weeks of classes. On the 6th week is not a class, but that's when you pitch your business idea. And there'll be a set of judges that you have 8 minutes to pitch your business idea, and you'll be judged on that. The other part of your grade is you have to submit a business plan. This would be a business plan that you would submit to a creditor. Could be, in some cases, suppliers now that if you say, I want to be a wholesaler, they'll want to check you out and they'll require a business plan. It's amazing. Folks are checking you out before they'll do business with you. So you need to have that, and you're going to be graded on that. And how we figure out who wins is that we tally those scores together, and I'll go over all of that, but that's why we're doing this. Any questions? Okay. Let me tell you a little bit about who we are, Virginia Community Capital. We are a community development financial institution started in 2006, thanks to, at the time, Governor Mark Warner, who saw that there was a gap in financing in Virginia, and he was able to put together the first $15 million in investment to help create Virginia Community Capital. And we're not here to compete with banks. We are here to help communities when maybe a bank turns you down for whatever reason. We're going to look at not only your business plan and your financials, but we will look at what's the impact of your business, the job creation, or in a case of, and I always use this example of, has anybody been to St. Paul in the last few years? St. Paul, Virginia. That was a dying coal town that, really the windows were boarded up in a lot of the downtown Main Street. Some community leaders says, we're tired of this. We want to make something happen. And they were able to entice a boutique hotel to come to St. Paul, Virginia, to turn an old building into an actual hotel, which is called the Western Front Hotel. And that's the kind of project we look at because we invested in that. And today now it's hard to find vacant property on downtown St. Paul. 10 years ago, I would have said, what are you smoking? But now it's totally changed. And that's That's what we want to see you all do, is take a, he's taking an empty gas station and turning that into a new location. So that's the type of stuff that we want to see here in Buchanan County. But that's what we do. We have 3 lines of business. One is lending. Actually, Ernie Maddie will be with us the March the 26th session, and he is a real estate lender, and he'll talk about our programs that we offer. We do real estate and small business lending. The other part of our business is investments, where we are a nonprofit, but we have a for-profit bank. We're one of 9 in the nation that's made like that. So we don't have all the overhead that all these banks that have branches. We have 3 locations, so that means our overhead's down, which means when it comes to investing your money, you're looking for a CD, a money market, or anything, we can offer a higher rate compared to a bank. So we do investing. And one of the things too I like to tell people is when you're investing in us, we're helping to invest back into the communities in Virginia, especially rural communities. And then we do impact, which is the team that I work in, is doing projects like this, is helping somebody take that idea. Is this something that I can turn into a business, make it happen, or work with an organization? How can we help the community? And again, like the St. Paul story, or it could be the Clinch River Initiative, or some of the other things that we're involved in, is helping impact Southwest Virginia. Again, here's some of our lending programs. We do real estate. We also have a program for fresh produce. It's amazing in rural Virginia how many communities now do not have access to fresh food. And we actually have a loan program that can help with, maybe it's an old grocery store, or somebody's wanting to put something in that's going to bring healthy, fresh food into a community that's in a food desert. We can provide some financing for that. Even if it's an old place and it's got old fluorescence that's using a ton of energy, or freezer space, we can help provide some financing to upgrade the lighting, because that way means it's more economical, the same way with freezer space and so forth like that. We do have a solar energy program, and then we have a small business program. We can do everything from debt refinancing to equipment purchase, in some cases working capital. But I will say we look at a loan just like any lender would do. That means you've got to complete that business plan. You've got to complete that balance sheet, those pro formas, because we're going to ask you all that. And if you're starting, any bank that you go to, that more than likely, if you are an existing business, they'll probably ask you for the last 3 years' tax returns. If it's a new startup, they will want your personal finances, or anybody that's involved in the business, their personal finances will have to be covered. Because when the banking crisis happened, it just made it tougher for folks like yourself and all of us to get money. And again, why we're here is through the Thompson Foundation. It's a 3-year project that will end later this fall. And again, if it wasn't for the town and county, we would not have the award money to make this happen. And if you come across a board of supervisors or a council member or any leaders, you need to thank them for bringing this opportunity for you, especially if you should win the grand prize. Okay, we're going to look at the guidelines. First of all, you have to be a for-profit business in Buchanan County. I think everybody in here, when you went around the room and said who you do, you all are a for-profit, and physically has to be located in Grundy, or in the county or the town of Grundy. That means your business has to be set up for business, either a business license in the town if it requires it, or operating as, or your mail comes, but any revenue that you generate will be going through the county. That's how they're investing in you. Any questions on that? Don't forget that essay. Now, if you are an existing business, part of the guidelines, again, the county and town are wanting to invest in you, and that means public funds are going into this. They want to get something back from you. So if you're an existing business, you must create at least one full-time job, and we use the accountable, not accountable care, what's the federal for the insurance, affordable care, or oh gosh, I just went blank. But anyway, we use the full-time job of that the federal government uses, which is 32 hours per week, or you can have 2 part-time jobs. And they have to be, you have to show proof. And again, when you go to Mary, which she's tough to get money out of, when you bring in your receipts for reimbursement of something that you're invested in, you're going to have to bring proof that you have created that job. And in the guidelines states the IRS forms that you have to fill out. And again, we have to make sure that you created that job. And again, it can be 2 part-time, but as long as it equates up to 32 hours a week is what we look at. Any questions? You also have to show proof that you do have any business license, applicable taxes. I don't think what you do, you would have to have a professional occupational license. Do you think you would? I don't think so either. But just to make sure you have all of those that you need. Again, the way the scoring does is we also look at attendance. That's why it's mandatory. And if you cannot come, someone with your business must come to each session unless you have cleared it with Mary or myself that something happens. And we know it happens, but you could only have 1 excused absence. That's it. But you're going to be looked at by the strength of your business plan. By the way, those business plans are taken outside the county. I personally have people in the Tri-Cities area that will review and score. That means there's no chance that there's anybody that knows you, that there could be any favoritism that's done. We're going to make this as fair as humanly possible. And of course, then the quality and impact of your business pitch, which means we're going to have judges here that night that are from the business community here in Buchanan County that is going to listen to your business pitch. And the way they're listening to it is this something that I want to invest in? That's what they're looking at. And so when you create your business pitch, that's something you need to keep in mind is how do you do that? And we've got a good, archive of various business plan competitions that I've worked with over the Southwest Virginia, and I can send you those links so you can hear the other challenges throughout, even from Floyd to, we just finished up 2 weeks ago, the Washington County Business Challenge. Actually, we just got the final scores in and having checks printed because we'll make that announcement next week. We did a Tazewell one last fall, so I'll send you those so you can hear it. Again, you got 8 minutes, and I suggest that over the weeks is get a family member, a friend to you do that pitch and see how you do, practice it, because that means a lot. You could be down, the scores on the business plans could be tied, and your business pitch, the quality of that could make that difference in you. And I've seen it happen. So, I mean, a business pitch is, you got 8 minutes to tell us what you're doing, how are you going to generate revenue, how are you going to market that, etc. So if you have any questions on that, again, there's mentors, my contact information is on there, but don't wait till the last minute to prepare for that. And that night you can use PowerPoint, you can have anybody, see, you all are doing a restaurant, you can have sample foods, you could bring, you could make a whole display of what you do. Yes, but this is your chance to tell your story, and audio or visuals is very impactful versus you standing up here and say, I'm Sandy Ratliff, I'm with Virginia Community Capital, and please don't read it off. This is about your business. You've got to know the ins and outs, and over the next weeks, as you develop that business plan, you're going to know the ins and outs of your business, so that when they ask you that question, you're going to be able to answer. There are people out there that can develop business plans for you, but I guarantee you'll get screwed up on that, because you need to know when you go in front of that lender or when you're being judged, you're going to be asked a question, and if you can't say, well, I don't know, that's not a good thing. You've got to be able to answer those questions, and that's why you need to know the ins and outs of your business, because you never know what will happen. Do I have an amen from Margie? Okay. And of course, attendance. Again, you must attend all and do the pitch and the business plan. The final night, the pitch night, is when you'll not only do your pitch, but you'll turn in your business plans that night. Here's a list of the upcoming ones so that you've got it. Next week is our expert panel. The following week is where's the money, and then you can see that we have a smorgasbord of different types of things, everything that's going to be involved to help you run a successful business, because that's why we're doing this part of training, especially if you're starting out. There's going to be things of how do you market. We were talking about Facebook advertising. There's a lot that goes into it. There's a lot about if someone comes to you and gives you a big order, are you going to check their credit? Are you going to take a down payment? You're going to check somebody out before you sign and make that commitment, and you buy all those supplies and make that. And then when it comes to how you're going to collect your money, it's because you didn't do your due diligence at the beginning. And you, as you're starting your business, that's something you need to look at. And you're going to be looked at as you're going to be going through the same thing. So, think about that. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about managing a business. And, of course, marketing is my favorite thing. But any questions on that? Okay. Again, an applicant is granted one excused absence under the condition that someone else attends on their behalf. Now, I am video recording these, and the reason is you have a question going back, well, she didn't cover that. I've got something to show proof that we did cover that, and vice versa, that you have that back. And in case Latasha misses and she wants to watch it, she can watch it when she's not here. Same way with your bride. If she missed tonight, then she'll be able to watch it. Okay? Although she believes everything you say, but.
For the most part.
Now, another thing that we do is we do require attendance, punctuation. If you're 15 minutes late for the, I guess it's 16 minutes, technically you're out of the challenge. That's an absence for that night, which means you're out. And the reason we do that, we have folks that are volunteering, professionals that are volunteering their time to work with you. And if you and as a business owner, you're going to have that work ethic, that you're going to show up in time, you're going to be there for your customers and for these professionals. So if you're later than 15 minutes, sorry. And we've already got one out of the class tonight that didn't show up. So now we're down to 7. And for you all that's keeping score, it was a startup, so the rest of you startups, that's a good number for you to keep a watch of. Inclement weather that may happen, and what we will do is we'll notify you also by email, and we also have a Facebook page for the Buchanan County Business Challenge. It's BCC Challenge on Facebook, but just go there and search and you will find all that on there. And then we'll have a makeup session and we will notify you when that makeup is. Usually if this is Thursday night, maybe we'll try to do it the next week on a Tuesday night or Monday night. We'll just have to check and see availability and so forth. So far we've not had to do that. Okay, this is why you're doing this, right? Is the prizes. So let's go over that. We got a total of $15,000. Again, thanks for the town and the county for doing that. We're going to have, from the startup category, we're going to have one $5,000 for first place, one second place, which is $1,500, and a third place of $500. And the same for an existing business. That is a $5,000, $1,500 second place, and $500 third place. And even if we only had one person in the existing business category, you still have to complete a business plan. And if it's a crappy business plan, you may not. You may come in second or third, because that's not what we don't want to just hand out that money. We want to have quality projects here in the county. Also, we're going to have a best business pitch and a best business plan award. Okay. The other part for the winners, we're going to have, thanks to the chambers, going to offer a free year of membership to the chamber. And let me tell you something, I've been involved in a lot of chambers, and the value that they offer you, not only as a startup or existing business, is very critical, because you need that network. You've got other professionals that can help you with mentoring. You get stuck, you need advice. That's what a chamber is to support the businesses within the community. So this is a great value, and even if you don't win, I still recommend that you get involved in the chamber. And she didn't pay me to say that. I just know the value of that. Now, we also have this year, thanks to Alex McLaughlin, is the McLaughlin Reg CF Award. And this is sort of like, you've heard of Kickstarter campaigns, crowdfunding campaigns. This is a little different. This is for high growth businesses. And this is all be Alex's decision because it's his program. But he is going to give up to $10,000 of free legal services for any business or for the business that they deem will fill in that category. Now, there may be somebody, none of you fill in that category, but if you're going to want to grow your business and raise funds, he can help you raise over $1 million for your program as you're scaling up your business. And that's going out into finding investors to do that for you. The value of that is impressive. I would love every community to be able to have access to that because Alex has been through it before, and he's doing that because he's a county guy. That's where he was born and raised here in Buchanan County, and he wanted to give back. So that's something else that's an opportunity for you. And what we will do is for him to make that decision if he's going to provide or do that award, we'll give him a copy of the business plans too for the review, or if that's something that you want to participate in. We keep everything confidential. Murray and myself never see a business plan other than the cover. Usually that night when you put them, we'll put them in a bag, we'll separate them, and then the next morning I'm out delivering those to the judges, and I never see your business plan, and she doesn't either.
No, I never saw one last year.
And so everything is kept highly confidential. Winners are required to meet at least monthly with mentors, at least up for the first 6 months. And again, as I said earlier, we don't want to just hand you that money and you're out there trying like a fish in a big sea. We want to help you navigate this startup and growing your business. And because when you're successful, our program is successful. That's why we're investing in you. Disbursements of funds require at least a 2-week notice. And that means you just can't pop in here and say, Mary, I need a check, here's my receipts. It's not that. You need to email them or mail them to her or drop them off, but don't expect a check in the same time because she's got to review all of the documentation and so forth, and this is not her full-time gig. She's got other pressing stuff, and the chamber's nice enough to be the physical agent for this, and again, she's the check lady. She's the person you have to go through. Any questions? Okay. Now, sometimes there is a question about what is the definition of a startup versus an existing business. A startup business is defined of any enterprise that's been in operation for 1 year or less. And the reason we do that is because when you're starting your business, those first 6 to 8 months, you're just floundering, you're just trying to figure it out, and there's not a whole lot, and sometimes you may not make much money in the first year, so you are considered a startup. So that's our date of what we look at, and usually we go by either when you got your business, if you had to have a business license or anything, or when you made your first sale, which you're going to be turning that into. Don't forget the IRS. They want a piece of your action, especially the state of Virginia for sales tax. If there ever is a question about any request or invoice that's turned in, Mary and I are basically the executive committee, and we will review that before we can give you an answer. Again, we're trying to keep this fair, but we also have to be good stewards of that money that the county and the town have given us, so we want to make sure that everything was legit, because I'll tell you, I wasn't involved in a workshop in another county, many counties over, but when their first business challenge they didn't do their due diligence, and they just handed the guy a winning check of $5,000. Well, he left, moved to Tennessee, and bought a boat with that money, and they had nothing because they didn't have the guidelines and had this where you have to And it's not made up story. They'll never get that money back. But that's why we're protecting that investment by the county and town. Each grant will provide up to 12 months reimbursable expenses upon presentation of the receipts, and for existing businesses, we will not give out the last $2,500 during that 12-month period until you provide proof of the job creation. Okay? Again, this is for existing, but we also, you have to make sure, we want to make proof that you've started that business, you know, you've got your licensing and so forth. Again, you can't just say you've done it, you've got to show proof, paper proof. Home-based businesses must move into a storefront within awards time frame. Now, for your type of business, you really can't have a storefront. For agritourism, agriculture type businesses, they can't do that. But the objective of this program is to get people out into the community, which is going to help you in generating revenue so people can find you. Any questions? Because most everybody is going to fall into this category. Reimbursements will be made only for business expenses outlined in the competitors' business plans and business pitches. And this came up a previous year where someone decided after they had won an award that, okay, I've decided I want to start a different kind of business. They lost that money because that's not what you pitched your business idea and judged, nor was that what your business plan said. And again, the county, we got to be good stewards of that money. It's public funds. We got to make sure that you are legit, and so they didn't get that money. Any questions? Now, this is very hard for you to see, but the gist of it is there are lots of components of your business plan that these judges look at for you. And again, they want to make sure they're looking at this as will I invest in that business? That's everything from executive summary, which is what your business plan should have, the product and service, your management team. If you say you're starting, a lot of times this is, and I'm not picking on you, but for restaurants, they say they want to start a restaurant. Well, why? Because I love to eat. Mm-hmm. Well, that has nothing to do with the restaurant. You got to have experience. You know, what is your experience? The part of your management team. Maybe you don't have the experience, but you're bringing in someone that has that experience. Well, that's great. So you need to know that in your business plan, and we want to know the market analysis. Why are you starting this? If you tell me you're going to manufacture 8-track tapes, we're going to talk you out of that, and you probably will not win or be judged very highly on that business plan because there's not a market for that. So again, this is legit. This is the big boys program. Again, there's a lot of other things too, and I think I have a copy of the blank scoring sheet on the flash drive because it was so big. It's an 8.5 by 14. I couldn't put it in the notebook. The business pitch is pretty simple. There's basically 5 categories on that. What you'll be judged on is your business concept stated clearly. Do you have a proven niche in the county and surrounding area? Because we know your business is not just going to be coming from the county. You're going to have, could be a larger geographic area. The likelihood of that plan to be successful. Did you use visual aids and were they beneficial? And the pitch was persuasive and delivered in the time limit, again, 8 minutes. And then we'll allow a couple minutes for the judges to ask you questions. Because it is tough to cover everything, and maybe someone wasn't clear. Now tell me again more about what your marketing strategy is, so we'll allow a couple minutes for that. That's basically the overview. Any questions? Didn't scare you or anything, did I? You'll be back next week?
Anybody's willing to drop out, they can now, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, they're wanting to invest in you. We want to make sure you're successful because if you're not, our program's not successful. So we all here are invested in each other. So, if you've got everybody's contact information, don't hesitate to call Don't be going, well, I really don't know. That's not an excuse. We're giving you everything that you need to know, so you need to take advantage of that. So I'm now going to turn this over to Margie Douglas with the Southwest Virginia Community College Small Business Development Center. So I am going to, you have a, I don't. Okay, thank you. Just stick that in, probably right there. Okay, Sandy, may have to get you to help me get this. Okay. Is yours plugged in? All I have to do is change the input on this monitor. Okay.
It's a big time to get you something to drink. I'm gonna do it. You want something to drink?
Maybe a Coke.
We just want ACC.
Is it loading? Yeah, it should come up as soon as it's done.
Always get in on that. Always get the crack phones up.
I know,
We just
I'm
know.
not making a joke, but
Yeah, it's trying to. Maybe a little slow.
regular Coke.
That's not baseball shit.
Thank you.
Excellent.
You're welcome. Anybody else want anything? While I'm serving? Not
Has anybody in here watched Shark Tank?
Nightly before I go to
You know, where they pitch through their pitches? It's sort of like that, where the pitch contest, but no, don't be. You know what? It's, practice is important. And if you want to, any week, if you want to come early and we meet, I'll help you. But I will send you, probably tomorrow, a link to all of the different business challenges in the area. And that'll give you some ideas of, and you can automatically tell the good ones and the not so good ones.
I tell you, the one thing that you said is so true about, like when you mentioned about the restaurant and want to put it in because I like to eat. I put a fruit and market in, which I was kind of always want to do that. But I thought I knew fruit, vegetables, and green beans, but you wouldn't believe until you get your feet wet and you do it.
Yeah.
What to look for and what to buy
Exactly.
and what not to buy and what is fresh and what they're telling you is fresh that's not fresh and there's a.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't just set it up and sell it.
Nope, you don't.
And apples, anything, I guess any business.
Well, good evening, everybody. I'm happy to be here tonight, and I'm really excited to see all your faces. I've met a couple of you and talked to you about your business plans and your projects. I work with the Small Business Development Center. My name is Margie Douglas. My office is located on the campus of Southwest Virginia Community College. We are a service that is free and it's confidential. So if you come to me with an idea, we don't discuss it with anyone except you unless you ask us to talk to a funder. So I passed out a little quiz when we first came in, and I wonder if you had an opportunity to look at that and check off some of those questions. So what I'd like to do first of all, though, is I'd like to ask you, why do you want to start a business, or why do you want to expand your business? So if you want to just throw out some answers, I would like for this to be interactive. Please feel free to ask questions as we go along. But why do you want to start your business? Latasha.
I've always done, I had first got into vinyl when I was in the 9th grade in high school. And so I've always done vinyl decals and stuff like that. And then, I graduated, moved out, and I have it in a single bedroom at my home. And I've just expanded within my home, so I want to do a storefront.
Okay.
And by doing it at home, now, in today's times, there's Cricuts, there's Silhouettes, there's so many cheaper vinyl cutting machines out there, and a lot of people, can afford those. So you either have to turn to Hobby Lobby or somewhere expensive to resort and get your vinyl. So I wanna offer the blank t-shirts and the vinyl sheets as well to the home-based hobbyist who can, when little Johnny comes home and he needs a shirt for kindergarten, to wear on Red Day, Mama can just run uptown and grab some vinyl and she can go home and she can make him his shirt that he needs.
Okay. Dan, would you like to share why you'd like to start a business?
I just see the need in the county. It just seems like a lot of businesses don't really have anywhere to turn for IT support side of things.
Okay.
They have what they have, and then they don't really know how it got there, or how it works, or what to do with it.
I'm right there. How about you, David?
Lacey, she's our little girl, she moved to South Carolina. She came in to visit about a month ago or two. I said, Lacey, why don't you just stay here? And her key answer was, there's nothing here. So we wanna put something in for the kids that can enjoy, like renting those go-karts or whatever. Just something for the kids to do.
Okay. Anybody else want to share? I like the mobile blasting idea. I thought that was a very creative idea, because if you can be very accessible to people, that's when you really, when the value is added to your product or your service. So did everybody fill out this? Are you ready to start a business? Did you have more yeses than nos? Good. Because if you have a lot of no's marked on there, you may want to reevaluate. You may want to think about, why am I doing this if I don't like people? Or why am I doing this if I don't have the discipline to be there and have the doors open when I'm supposed to be there? So this is a little test that will give you an indication of why you should or shouldn't open your business. So do you think that you're ready? I think you do, because you wouldn't be here tonight if you didn't realize that you were ready. So the Small Business Development Center has been around since 1988, somewhere in that neighborhood in our region. And we've helped lots of businesses to get started. Some of the things that we do is we work with funding agencies. We try to find you resources. Sometimes you go to the bank and you can't always get that loan. Maybe you need working capital. Most banks are not going to provide working capital. Maybe you need to buy inventory. The banks are not going to provide inventory. So what the SBDC does is we try to provide you with tools and equip you to be able to start that business. We have a wonderful tool that's called the Growth Wheel. And the Growth Wheel it's called a 360 screening. And the neat thing about this is if you take this Growth Wheel, you can look at it. I don't have a copy of it, I don't think, in your packet, but you can look at it, and there are 4 core areas of significant focus for every business. There's your business concept, there's your organization, your operations, and your customer relations. So let's look at each one of these categories and break it down a little bit so that you can understand when you're putting together your business plan. And let me ask, oh no, what happened?
Are you got electricity? Is that why it keeps going off?
Yeah, it's electric. I mean, it's plugged in. Oh well. Paper copies are always good. So the Growth Wheel does have, it's like a big circle. It's 360 degrees. And so when you look at that, each section, and what I love about it is it's color-coded. What woman doesn't love to have something that's color-coded, right? So you can look at it, and when you're looking at certain areas, you can say, oh, that falls under the business concept. But it's a way to organize your thoughts and to organize your business plan so that you understand it, and so that when you take it and share it with your,
Hopefully
is it coming back up?
It's because the battery was dead. This was turned off and I didn't
Oh,
know until just then.
okay.
So it shows it's charging. I don't know how to turn
Okay.
it on.
All right, well, we're still good. I always come prepared. So at any rate, this helps you to become prepared. When you go to your bank funder Or if you go to, say, the Industrial Development Authority or to Virginia Coalfield Economic Development Authority or any of these funding agencies, they're going to want to see that you have your thoughts organized, and they want to see a business plan. They want to know who, what, when, where, why, and how. They want to know everything about you, but more importantly, they want to know that you know your business, that you know what your service is, what your product is, and that you know how that you're going to get that product to the market. Sandy pretty much did my presentation, so I really wouldn't have to say a whole lot because she's very thorough. But some of the things that we would like to talk about tonight is we'll break it down into the different categories. So if you're looking at your business concept on the 360 growth wheel, you could see that you have your business idea. So you all know, every one of you know what your idea is and what you want to do. What's your product portfolio? That could be your vegetables and fruit. It could be your IT services. It could be the ATV, UTV operation. It could be the blasting. It could be any of those. It could be the vinyl. But you need to know what that product portfolio looks like. You need to know what your revenue model is. What are you going to charge for those products and services? If you do not have an idea, that's when you really need to start doing your research. And you know, we have such a wonderful tool with the internet. It can be very frustrating, but that is where you can find a wealth of information. You can do comparisons. What something sells for in Northern Virginia may not necessarily sell for in Southwestern Virginia, but you need to know what you plan to charge. And I think most of you probably have an idea. If you've been working with that business, I think you probably have an idea. Customer portfolio. Who is your customer? What's that customer wanting? What's the demand for that? Like Sandy said, if you're trying to sell 8-track tapes, most likely you're not going to have a very big market. And then your market position. So where are you positioned in that market? Where do you fall into that? Is it a special niche? Is it something that everybody else is doing? But you need to know where that marketplace is. So that pretty much covers your business concept. So as you're developing your business plan, think about those things. Who are you and what's your product? The next category is your organization. So you need to know what your business entity is. Has everyone here already established their business entity? If you're a startup, you may not have. Are you a sole proprietor? Are you a LLC, S Corp, C Corp? LLC. Okay. So most of the businesses that I work with through the SBDC are limited liability companies, and they do that simply because if you're a sole proprietor, there is a lot of liability there. You and your company are one and the same. So if somebody has a reason to sue you or think they have a reason to sue you, they not only go after your business, they can go after your personal assets. So it's very important that you know what your organization is. It's also important to know how cumbersome it is. If you have a corporation, you may have a board of directors that you have to report to. You may not get to make those decisions that you think are very important. If you have a limited liability, you have a little bit more flexibility with what you're offering. So in your packet, there should be some information relative to what the different business structures are. That's just a few of them, and each one of them are established relative to a tax issue.
Where are you?
I am on screen organization. There you go. Very good. Okay, now we're back up and running. Okay, so employees, you've got to think about employees. If you have several employees, you've got HR issues that you've got to think about. You've got, are you going to have to pay Virginia employment tax? If you do have employees, most likely you are, because if they are laid off or something, they're going to file unemployment, right? What about your partnerships? Who are you working with that's helping you to grow that business? I have heard from so many of the business challenges that one of the best things that have come out of the challenge is the relationships and the networking of the people that are participating. That you become reliant on each other, that you talk to each other if you're having issues. So I hope that that's the same thing that happens to this group, that you know that you're in that network and that you're going to be able to work to help each other. Business processes. I'm a big planner and I'm also a very big proponent of processes. Document your processes. If you are a limited liability company, and let's say you're a 1 or 2 person operation, and maybe you're in a car accident, and you don't have your processes documented, you're in trouble because your partner or your employee or your spouse or whatever may not even know how to operate that business. Document those processes so that you'll have something that they can fall back on in case something did happen. And then there's always legal issues. So 2 things that I always recommend to my clients. Number 1 is to consult with an accountant, and the other one is consult with an attorney. You don't want IRS issues, and you certainly don't want legal issues. Okay, so the next section is going to be about operations. So, uh-oh, it's not moving. We may just have to go with the paper. It's not cooperating tonight. Okay, so when you're thinking about your operations, we're going to talk about your facility. So does everybody already have a location established? Everybody? Okay, good. So are there issues with it? Are you going to have to do some renovations? So those are things that you're going to have to think about, not only from the location standpoint and what the other amenities are that may be around that location, but also from a cost perspective, if there's going to have to be some upgrades or some things like that. Your IT system, that's where I would always have the big issue, is because I am smart enough to do word processing, and that's about it. So, if you do not, and I think this is awesome because we have a couple of IT companies here tonight, and I think that is where the partnerships are really going to come in handy. Production and delivery. So if you're manufacturing a product, how are you going to get that how are you going to get that product out the door and to your customer? So you'll have to think about that. How much is it going to cost you? Are you going to have to buy a truck to do that? How are you going to get those sales out the door? Are you going to use UPS, FedEx? What's that going to cost you? Okay. Funding. So everybody knows starting a business is not cheap. So you have to have funding in place. And there are lots of areas that you can find funding resources. Sometimes you have to dip into your own personal savings. Sometimes you have to go to family members. I don't recommend that because that can always create an issue, and you don't want those issues with your family. But sometimes that's what happens. There are banks, but one of the things that the SBDC does in particular is we have a lot of networks. We know a lot of different government entities. Maybe it's the Industrial Development Authority that might have a revolving loan fund. Maybe it's your planning district, say Cumberland Plateau. We're in the Cumberland Plateau Planning District. They have a revolving loan fund that you might be able to tap into, and it's a low interest loan. We have Virginia Coalfield Economic Development Authority. If you're a startup business less than a year old, then you may be able to apply for their seed capital matching fund grant, and that's a $10,000 dollar for dollar match. So those are, we try to help you find those funding resources. And then the financial, that's trying to find a financial process that's going to work for you. Sandy, what is your threshold that you start funding?
We're usually about
150. Okay.
But People Inc. will be here in 3 weeks.
So they do micro loans. Mm-hmm. So they do smaller loans than that.
And Cumberland Plateau, it's revolving loans.
Yes.
Will do micro.
Right. And so there's other opportunities. If you're in a tourism-related business, you may be able to find some tourism-related funds, such as Visita has a tourism fund. People Incorporated has a fund that's called Ninth District Development Financing, and so they fund tourism projects. And tourism, there's been such a large focus on tourism projects that they've had a little bit of special treatment in the last few years. And branding. What's your brand? Do you already have your logo? Do you already know what, what that's going to look like? So those are things, do you have a tagline? What's that look like? The next section for the growth wheel is customer relations. So that is going to include communication and public relations, sales and service, your branding, your marketing, and your networking. Okay, thank you. I'm just going to stick with this. Okay, so when we look at that growth wheel, and if you want to, I can talk to you one-on-one after, after the classes are over. You can call my office and make an appointment, and I'm certainly happy to meet with you one-on-one so that we can have a discussion. Latasha and I have already met. I've talked to Dave a little bit on the phone. So those are, I'm happy to work with you one-on-one, and that's the great thing about the SBDC is that we can get down in the weeds with you there. So there's 10 steps, the top 10 steps for starting your business. So I may be able to try it again and see if it'll work. Okay. So these are the top 10 steps. Number 1, conduct your market research. Have you all done research on your business? Has anybody done research on it to this point? I know Latasha has. I want to call her Natasha. Okay. All right. So the Small Business Development Center, one of the things that they subscribe to is called IBIS World. What our IBIS World does is business and industry research. So I did a research on a convenience store. I wasn't sure that there would be anybody here that did that. But what this does, and this research was done in September 2019. Usually the research is within 6 months of being up to date. So if someone here were in the convenience store business, and they wanted to know what that industry looked like at a glance, this would tell us, and this is a copyrighted document, so this is something that you have to subscribe to get the information from, but this says that convenience stores were a $31.6 billion industry in 2019 in the United States. It grew 2.2% between 2014 and 2019. And the annual growth that's anticipated between 2019 and 2024 is 1.5%. So if I were looking at this, and it'll break it down into a little pie chart that tells you what the segments are. So you might say tobacco products, that's huge. That's the biggest product sales, 34%. Beer, 8.5%. Candy and snacks, 9.9%. Packaged beverages, 15.8%, and the food services are 22.5%, and then other is 9.2%. So when you're doing your market analysis for your business plan, this is valuable information because it will let the funder know that you've done some research. And who do you think has the lion's share of this convenience store market? It's a store that's been in business for many years. Have any ideas, any guesses? 7-Eleven. That's exactly who has the lion's share. 32% of the convenience stores. So this will give you a breakdown of what the key external drivers are. So it's a pretty lengthy document. But as you're doing your business plan, if you need market data, please feel free to give me a call, and I'm happy to give you a report. I can email it to you, okay? There's other reports that you can get. So let's say you're wanting to do the ATV, UTV trails. Virginia Tourism does an awesome job of tourism expenditures in Virginia within like the last 5 years. So you could call me and I can print that off for you as far as, so I think, I'm not sure, I can't remember what it is in Buchanan County, but you can go into the Virginia Tourism Corporation's website and it will go under the research tab, and it will give you information. You can look at Virginia as a whole. You can look at any of the counties in Virginia, and it will tell you how much it's grown, or maybe it's decreased. But it'll tell you about the jobs that were supported in tourism. It will tell you about the expenditures that were made, the taxes that were paid. So that's a really good resource. If you're looking at an industry like you're looking at your fruits and vegetables, you might want to look at the population for Buchanan County, or you may want to look at the households in Buchanan County. The U.S. Census is a great resource for that type of information. Maybe you want to look at traffic count. How many cars are going by your proposed new site? Go to VDOT. You can actually pull up the streets. So any type of industry data, magazines, I know IT has all kinds of statistics and things, that's what they're really good at. So any type of business that you're operating, if you'll just go and try to do a little bit of research, because when you go to the bank and you're talking to the funder, that is they're very impressed by the knowledge that you have about what that industry is doing. And I just feel like that it's very worthwhile when you're putting that information together. All right. Choose your business structure. So we talked a little bit about that just a few minutes ago. There is a list in your packet that shows what several of the business industries are, or the business entities are. If you have questions about that, again, call me. I'm happy to talk to you personally, one-on-one, about those types of things. Choose your name, your business name. That is very important, how you choose your business name. And the reason I say that is I have an example. There in Lebanon, there's a place called Cliffield Homes. Cliffield Homes used to be in Tazewell County, but now it's in Russell County. So if you name your business after the town or after a community, you may wind up moving that business sometime, and it just doesn't fit. It doesn't make sense anymore. The other thing that I've heard a lot of people say is, do not use your personal name. What if you sell that business down the road and somebody that may be less than nice comes along and buys that business, and they just run your name into the ground? But you can't. There's a lot of places that are listed in this document that tells you that you can go and just do some brainstorming. You know, there's all kinds of websites. There's visualthesaurus.com, Shopify business name generator, name mesh, and I'm not even going to try to say the other one because I know I'll butcher that. But make sure that you're happy with the name. If you're not happy with it, you're going to have to live with it once you have it there. So make sure that you're happy with that name. Okay, your location. I think all of you have pretty much decided where your location is, and yours is mobile, right?
It is mobile, but I do have a.
Oh, you do have a shop? Okay.
Yes, I have a shop
Okay.
that I'll be located at.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so I've worked, my background is economic development, and so I used to try to help businesses find locations. So there's a lot, you know, if you're looking at leasing a property, please read your lease, make sure that you know and understand the terms. We have a great guy that does a lot of marketing programs, and his expertise is in retail and restaurants. And he says, always make sure that you have an out. You know, he gave an example that he and his brother had started a business selling earth shoes. Now, most of you all are too young to remember earth shoes, but anyway, back in the 70s. And they were doing really great. The shoes, I think, were made in Denmark or Sweden. And just so happens that they open up, you know, that was when all the malls were really big. They open up a chain of these shoe stores in, you know, hundreds of malls. Well, the company has an issue with getting them made. They go bankrupt, and they didn't have an out. They didn't have a way, they didn't have a clause in their lease that let them out of it. So instead of having to pay maybe 2 or 3 months to get out of the lease, they just had to file bankruptcy because it was, you know, they didn't have anything in their lease to get them out of it. So be sure that you know what your responsibility is Are you responsible for paying the rent? Not the rent, of course you are, but are you responsible for paying the utilities? What are you responsible for? What about repairs and maintenance? You want to make sure you know if you're the one that's going to have to do it or your landlord. Okay, so one of the things I think is really important, and I heard that there's like 3 of you that are going to be pretty much in the same area, which I think is really good, because it's important that you have other amenities around you, because maybe they want to drop off a computer and they want to run over and get something done while you're maybe tweaking it or something. So it's really important to have a location where you've got other things going on. And then, they may want to go somewhere and eat, so that's important too. Okay, research your competitors. When you go to the bank, your funder is going to want to know who your competitors are. They want you to be able to name names. So the reason they want you to know who your competitors are is they want to know that you know who your competitors are and what makes them better or what makes you better. Okay, so keep that in mind when in your section of the business plan that says competitors. Make sure that you name names. Tell them who those competitors are and what the difference is. Okay, who here has a business plan already? Okay, all right. This is business plan versus no business plan. You can see, like if you're trying to grow your business, over 60% of the businesses grow faster with a business plan. If you're trying to secure investment capital, about 35% are more likely to get that capital. If your business is trying to secure a loan, about 35% have a better chance of getting that loan. So a business plan is there for a reason. Number 1 is so that you know everything you can about that business. Number 2 is so that you can tell your funder. This is the components for writing a business plan. I do have a template, and I know Sandy has got a lot of templates on her on the thumb drives that she's provided. It doesn't have to be exact. You can go online and pull a template off. But a lot of times once you go online, when you fill in all the information, then they ask for your credit card. So if you need a template, if you don't want to use the one that Sandy has provided, feel free to give me a call and I can provide you with a template as well. What's your product and service? Who's your management team? So when you're talking about your management team, you want to be specific about who those people are. It may just be you, but you want to be very specific. When you're talking about your support personnel, it's like a job description. It's not a specific person, okay? Market analysis, IBIS World, VDOT, whatever you need, try to find a source that you can get statistics that are valid and that you can prove. Marketing plan. This is Sandy's forte. She can tell you everything there is to know about marketing. There's so many different ways to market now, and there are so many ways that are somewhat cost-free. I mean, social media is huge. I think probably everybody's used that, and I know I've used it many times just because I've seen a product or service that somebody has put online, and I think, wow, that's really cool. I'm going to order that. So that's huge, but there are tons of ways that you can market your business. Okay, your timeline. So, do you all know what the definition of a timeline is? My definition of a timeline is a to-do list with dates associated. So, you guys know that you're getting ready to ramp up. You've got to have a business plan. You've got to have a pitch prepared. You've got all these things that you've got to do before this big event, the big reveal. So, today, you should start saying, okay, the date that I have to have that is the night that we do the pitch. And then back that up so that you can make sure that you have everything prepared and pulled together by that date. And that's the thing that you need to think about when you're looking at opening your business, If you wanted to open your business, say June, then what do you have to have done before now in June? Make that list of things that you have to have done, and then assign dates, and you're more likely to get it done. Okay, financials and cash flow. That's one that a lot of people have a little bit of heartburn over. So again, Sandy has provided you with templates with a lot of different information as far as financials. The Small Business Development Center has an income statement projection and a cash flow statement. Basically, the difference between the two are that at the end of the income statement, you're going to be able to see how much money, and this is projections, okay, so it's not exactly rocket science, it's not exact, but it is, if we sell this, then we think we're going to make this. So we take your revenue, we take your cost of goods sold, which is whatever it costs you to buy the products that you're selling and resell, and your expenses. So that could be your accounting and legal, your advertising, car delivery, travel, your payroll, any kind of miscellaneous expense, all of your utilities, your insurance, any of those. And we try to come up with a projected cost. The way you do that is you have to maybe call your insurance agents and say, hey, I need to get a quote. I'm going to open this business. I need renter's insurance. I need workers' comp insurance, because if you've got 3 employees, and that's 3 part-time employees including yourself, then you have to have workers' comp. Now you are responsible if somebody gets hurt regardless, but if you've got 1 full-time person and 2 part-time, even if it's family, if somebody gets hurt, you're responsible for it. So you really need to have that workers' comp. But you might call your insurance agent and say, look, this is what I'm thinking about doing. I need renter's insurance. I need liability insurance. I need workers' comp insurance. You know, there could be a list. I'm working with a company right now, and I'm telling you, when I looked at the list of different types of insurance, because they had vehicles and just all kinds of things that they needed to insure, and I mean, they had health insurance and all of that, and it's amazing how fast that adds up.
Margie, next week, we will have someone with the insurance,
Awesome.
CPA, and hopefully an attorney, so
Ask lots of questions.
armed this over the next week. Put in every question you can possibly think
Absolutely.
of. I mean, even down to if you're going to do catering business, if you put one of those your vinyl things on the side of your car that's magnetic, that now is no longer a personal vehicle. That becomes a work vehicle, which means you got to have a different set of insurance. Those are the kind of things you need to think about, and that's why next week you need to ask all kinds of questions. If somebody comes smack into your shop, pick up something, unless you have signs that says, employees only, those are things that you need to think about. So you know, look at additional liability insurance. So do your homework. You're going to be beside the road. People's going to be pulling in and out of your shop.
Yep.
What can happen, be prepared.
And this is free advice from the people that deal with this every day, so this is a great opportunity to ask some really in-depth questions. So your cash flow planning, it looks almost exactly like your income statement, but the difference is you're going to have some cash on hand. When you open that business, you're going to have a checkbook that's maybe got, I don't know, I've seen anything from nothing to several $1,000s in as far as cash on hand. But you have to have probably a business account, so you're going to have a little bit of money on hand, hopefully. And then we've got a line that says loan grant. Well, there's, you may be counting on this $5,000 from the challenge. You may think, well, hey, this has really worked well. I've been in business less than a year. I'm going to have to create a job for this program. I've got the dollar for dollar match. I'm going to apply for that Visita $10,000 dollar for dollar match, right? So we would put that in here. And then we're going to look at your cash receipts, which is exactly the same thing as your revenue. And so when we look at your cash flow projections. We're going to have any loans, any interest, any payments that you make. We're going to figure that into your cash flow. It's going to show you how much cash on hand that you have, or the proposed cash on hand that you have. Okay, so we did talk a little bit about funding. There's lots of ways. There's lots of government programs. The government folks like me, we kind of go in the same circles, so we know generally who has some funding. So if you have some questions about that, please call, because we do try our best to try to find some funding resources for you. Okay, who has not registered their business? 1, 2. Okay, so this is a quick process as to what you need to do. First, you have to determine the business entity. So is it a limited liability? Is it a corporation? Is it a S Corp, C Corp? So I generally tell people this is a good time to see an attorney or an accountant, okay? Because if you don't know what you're doing, you can do some of these registrations online. Like with the State Corporation Commission, you can register your limited liability. It's an interactive website. But let me tell you, if you get in there and you're not familiar with some of the terminology, you could get into some trouble pretty quick. Okay, so then you determine, once you determine what that business entity is, you have to have your name selected, and you register that name with the State Corporation Commission. From that point, you can obtain your federal employer ID number through the IRS, and then you need to check and make sure that you are or are not liable for Virginia unemployment tax. And generally, if you have employees, you will be paying Virginia unemployment tax. From that point, you register with the Department of Taxation, because like Sandy said, Uncle Sam wants his cut. So we want to make sure that we have our taxes paid. Then you need to satisfy any local requirements. So if you're doing a contractor job or something like that, you would need to be registered, with a professional registration. Say if you're a contractor or a cosmetologist or a barber, all of those require professional registrations. A lot of you probably will not need that, but you do need to check. If you're in the town, you will need to have a business license. If you're located in the county, they do not have a business license. So that might make a determination as to where you decide to, place your business. And then if there's any other agencies that, that need to be registered, if it's a medical facility, you may have to register with the Department of Health. If it's a restaurant, you may have to register with either VDAX, the Virginia Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services, or the Department of Health. Okay. If you need permits, there's lots of regulations and things that you have to comply with. One of the resources that I would talk to is your Economic Development Department or your Industrial Development Authority, because they can tell you what kind of funding is available. They can tell you if you have to have a brownfield study or whatever kind of feasibility study that that might be required for your specific location. And then the marketing strategy. I know you're going to have a whole class on that, but there are so many different ways to market and so many ways that are free of charge that you need to look at each one of those. You need to have a marketing plan in your business plan that says, I'm going to post on Facebook 7 days a week or 3 days a week. Or, I've seen a lot of restaurants that take pictures of their food and tempt people with, and like today's special is. So there's lots of ways that you can do that.
That's very impactful. Pictures of food.
Okay, so really the last thing that you need to do is that you need to open your business. You need to be visible. You need to have good signage. You need to have good marketing materials. Network. Join the Chamber of Commerce. It is so valuable. Mary, I'm sure, would help you get your name out there. She'll probably come and do a ribbon cutting. And I mean, it's just the opportunities of meeting with other professionals, particularly if you have a food business or something like that, because there are a lot of people that have parties or a lot of organizations that have parties or if you're looking for, maybe they have children that want to have a party at the ATV drag strip or something like that. So, it's just invaluable, the chamber membership is. And there's other organizations that you could become a part of. Maybe it's the tourism organization, because they're the ones that really help develop tourism in your area. I like to stress this. It's important that you know what's going on in your county, what your board of supervisors are doing, what your town councils are doing, because you want to be kept abreast of what's going on. If you have the time, just take the time to go to some of those meetings, because I think it's a real education. Okay, so I think entrepreneurs are awesome. So you guys are just the bee's knees. Because this is what you do. You contribute to the community's uniqueness. You get involved. It's not like the Walmart folks. They may give you a little grant or something, but you guys actually get involved in the community. There's so many things that you actually help create that tax base. You take charge of the destiny. So that's going and attending these boards of supervisors meetings and these town council meetings and things. That's the way that you can provide input as a business owner, and you can help chart the course of the way the town or the county is going. You're innovative and competitive. That's proof by being here tonight. You have less maintenance and less infrastructure, and you provide diversity to our area. So that is pretty much my information. I do want to tell you again that I really appreciate the opportunity for you letting me be here tonight to talk to you about starting a business. We are funded through the Small Business Administration, which is a federal program. So the form that you filled out tonight, I'll take that information and input it into our database. I would love to make this a long-term relationship with you guys, simply because I want to help you as you grow your business. If you have questions, I can't say that I have all the answers, but I usually know who I can ask or who you can ask. And also, at a point, maybe after you've been in business for a couple of years, you may say, I see the prison, or I see Southwest Virginia Community College, or I see VDOT, one of these state entities. They're always putting out bids for really nice contracts. So we have at the college, it's a program called PTAC, the Procurement Technical Assistance Center. What they do is help you sell your products to the government. So I would encourage, yes, that would certainly be something that you would probably want to do, is to check into that. So
Especially catering, that's a big
catering is big, but
besides like transportation projects, that's a mega thing with
how long have you been in business?
either.
Started first
Just-
year.
Okay. So generally, I think it's about 2 years that they like to see, because they ask for tax returns and things like that. But I can put you in touch with Rhonda Van Dyke. She's actually lives over here, and she would probably be more than happy to help you with trying to get registered, okay? All right. So this is my contact information, and I brought with me tonight my handy helper, Diane Altizer. So if you call my office and I don't answer, she's probably going to be the one that answers. So I just appreciate the time that you guys have allowed me to spend with you. As I said, if you have questions or concerns about any of the information that's being provided, then, please feel free to give me a call. One of the things that I've just saw today, and I'm going to shut up after that, but I don't know how much you guys have kept up with like the new laws that are being implemented, and there was a lot of controversy over the minimum wage increase. It's my understanding they did pass that, so right now the minimum wage is $7.25 per hour, but they anticipate that it would go up to $9.50 in 2021. It'll go up to $11 an hour in 2022, and it'll go up to $12 an hour in 2023. So that's kind of a hit for small businesses in our area, but you know, those things can be changed too, hopefully at some point. But certainly things to keep in mind as you're looking at your financial projections. The other thing is everybody's talking about the coronavirus, and so I know that we have just gotten some information from the Small Business Administration that they are putting out $2 million in disaster assistance loans. They are still trying to develop that, so we really don't know what that looks like, but they would be giving low interest loans for businesses that have been impacted by that, and the interest rate would be 3.75% for those businesses. So as we hear more, I'll try to get some information to Sandy maybe that she can share. She probably has direct access with Carl Knobloch to get that information. But you know, if you already are established and you know, if you see that your business is falling down or falling because of the, you know, what you perceive as the coronavirus, then it's certainly something that you could look at that might help. Okay? Oh yes, and there is an evaluation. I asked everybody, I think, to fill out those papers when you came in. If you don't mind, there is an evaluation. But if you don't mind, we are we are very regulated. Our businesses, our services. It's this one. Can I hold it up? It's this one. Looks like this. So if you don't mind, to please be honest. I know I can put people to sleep pretty easily, but you know, we want your feedback and we want it to be worth your time. Here you go, Cindy.
Anybody have any questions? Anybody not want to come back next week? Come on, but seriously, again, I can't stress enough, there's mentors, there's myself, there's Margie, there's Mary. We're here to help you, and I think you're going to learn a lot of the next few weeks. And by the way, when you're working on your business plan and you're looking, if you start hiring employees, when you're looking at your projections, you know, over the next 12, 24 months, you need to reflect those changes in your staff minimum wage wages. That's what you're going to be looking at. So, any questions? Anybody learn anything, or are you just ready to go home and see what they're talking about the virus?
Go get some toilet paper.
Still haven't figured that one out yet.
Was there a practice in China or something someone was saying that they think that maybe shut down or we can't get it?
I don't know. I just, Procter and Gamble, those that own they should be doing well. But
I passed out a save the date. This is when the challenge awards will be presented. But this is a networking. I mean, when Margie was talking about, it's up to you for the involvement. We have at least 3 membership meetings a year. And you all need to come. It's not just for board of directors, it's for membership. That's networking. We have business after hours. That's networking.
you snooze, you lose.
So, but take this home, mark your calendars.
Thanks, everybody.